JBL has gone and made a pretty big take when it comes to Roman Reigns and his level of star power and what he's been doing of late. So JBL, I'm just going to get to the take right away. JBL has said the following. Now, this doesn't make the most sense as far as like an actual quote, so bear with me. The thing that has impressed me the most is by far and above better than anything I've seen in maybe the last 20 years is Roman Reigns, which the quote itself doesn't make the most sense, but essentially what he's saying is that Roman Reigns, this heel tribal chief version, is better than anything JBL's seen in WWE in the past 20 years. Now, JBL said this like a day ago on the bump, so I mean, that's where it came from. This quote, I wanted to talk about it because I think it's an interesting point of conversation. I'm someone who, if you guys have watched my videos in the past 3 months, if you follow my Twitter, you know that I'm a big fan of Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns, what he's been doing has been simply excellent. It's a true character in pro wrestling. It's like a reason to care. The tribal chief, the head of the table, show up and win, wreck everyone and leave, that type of stuff. He has catchphrases. He has a reason to care. When he's on the screen, you put your phone down, you watch what Roman Reigns is doing because you know his segment actually is like meaningful and stuff's going to progress in his segment. So I'm a massive fan of Roman Reigns. And clearly JBL is too, because JBL, as you heard before, says that Roman Reigns is better than anything he's seen in maybe the last 20 years. Now, I found the replies to this fairly interesting because right away you saw a lot of the people who are either anti-Roman Reigns or just shut down this take altogether. Now, personally, I think Roman Reigns, I'll just give my take on this. Roman Reigns and what he's doing now is the most captivating WWE wrestler, performer, character, what have you, since CM Punk in 2011. I mean, that's my honest opinion, because I look at that time period from 2011 through 2020. Yes, we've seen some compelling, captivating wrestlers have good runs. Daniel Bryan is the Planet's champion in 2018. Becky Lynch and her run as the Man. We've seen a few good ones. The Daniel Bryan stuff in 2014 with the Yes Movement, you might want to say. That's really about it as far as ones off the top of my head. People might say, like, AJ Styles is the champ that runs the camp. I mean, okay, but Roman Reigns has just been better than those ones, in my opinion. I think near enough objectively, like what Roman Reigns is doing brings a sense of legitimacy, credibility, and viability to WWE that those runs didn't really do as much. So in that regard, I feel like Roman Reigns has had the best run of anyone in the past, 9 years? So near enough a decade, but I don't think what Roman Reigns is doing now has quite, drawn back as much interest into pro wrestling as what CM Punk did in 2011. Because as much as in hindsight, you look at what Punk did as awakening the Smarks and really giving them a voice and promoting work shoot promos, promoting the realism side of the business, and promoting anti-kayfabe and breaking kayfabe, which in hindsight's really been detrimental for the wrestling business. Ignoring that, I look at what CM Punk did back in 2011, the pipe bomb, the summer of Punk, which WWE tried their best to ruin by having Triple H beat him and having Kevin Nash and Del Rio destroy Punk. But nevertheless, that summer of Punk and what Punk was doing in June through end of 2011 really was some phenomenal work. And I feel like maybe in a few months I'll be happy in saying that Roman Reigns in this Tribal Chief run has been better than CM Punk and what CM Punk did back in 2011. But personally, just myself, I feel like what CM Punk did back then generated more interest, was more compelling, more captivating. You genuinely had no clue week to week back then what CM Punk would say, what CM Punk would do. You had to tune in to see what CM Punk would be involved in. You needed to see it because CM Punk was anti-authority. We hadn't seen promos like that in basically ever. These consistent work, shoot, pipe bomb promos. So in that regard, I think JBL is incorrect because CM Punk 9 years ago was, as JBL says here, more impressive than what Roman Reigns is now, but not by much. Roman Reigns, the work he's doing is incredible. Punk back then was just more compelling and more captivating in my opinion. So that's what I have to say. As far as other takes on this, the past 20 years, he's definitely not the past 20 years. Last 20 years, that includes, what, 2001, 2002, 2003, those years. So the work Roman Reigns is doing now is better than heel Rock and the stuff with the Rock. You know, Brock Lesnar is the next big thing. Even Austin in the tail end of his run, all that kind of stuff in 2001. Stuff with Triple H with the big gold belt, like all this kind of stuff. Is Roman Reigns now better than those guys were back then? No, I think that's a bit outlandish. Give Roman Reigns a few more months, perhaps a year of consistent work, like doing what he's been doing for the last 3 months for the next 9 to 12 months. I think Roman Reigns could well say that he's been, better than those runs. But for now, jumping the gun a little bit, as far as the past 10 to 15 years, I've seen some comments here saying that Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, I've seen some names like that. I'm thinking, okay, people are really going to try and say that Daniel Bryan, I mean, comparing the Planet's Champion to the Tribal Chief, that's a very fair comparison, but trying to compare the Yes Movement, Daniel Bryan, to this Roman Reigns, that's just disrespectful. The Yes Movement was the crowd doing a chant that was fun to do, and the casual fans could easily do a Yes chant. I don't know how many of those fans really wanted to see Daniel Bryan win the title from Triple H, or Randy Orton. I've done 2 whole videos on that, go and check them out. But yeah, I think Roman Reigns is more impressive in this recent run than Daniel Bryan's been. I think Rey Mysterio, I mean, what's Rey? Rey's just been a constant. Like, Rey's hardly had any, top dog runs. Whenever Rey's won a title, he's had to give it up within, a short amount of time. Be that the World Heavyweight Championship in 2006, be that the WWE Championship when he won it for one night back in July 2011. Rey Mysterio hasn't had these extended runs as a top guy. He's just been either enhancement talent, great mid-card matches, storylines like the Seth Rollins one. So I think saying that Rey Mysterio has been more impressive in the past 15 to 20 years than this version of Roman Reigns, that's just delusional. I think that's Roman Reigns' hate, so that's that. But as far as guys like Cena, Orton, these types, Batista, Triple H, they've done better work over the past 15 to 20 years than Reigns has. But that said, Randy Orton, his is so sparing. And what I mean by that is, as we've seen this year, Randy Orton can do 3 to 5 months of just incredible pro wrestling work, captivating promos every week, compelling storylines, and then Randy Orton will spend 2 years or thereabouts doing near enough nothing compelling, having babyface runs that are as boring as you could imagine. Randy Orton as a babyface is not good, folks. It's not good because, I mean, what does Randy Orton do as a babyface? He comes out, says, "Come on! Come on!" Tries to get the crowd up because the crowd doesn't care because he's boring, and then that's literally it. That's Randy Orton's babyface. Heel Orton is excellent, but babyface Orton, nuh-uh. So, yeah, Randy Orton has done some better stuff than Reigns has in the past, little time period. Cena, definitely. And yeah, so basically, to wrap this video up, JBL saying that Roman Reigns and what he's doing at the moment is more impressive than anything he's seen in the past 20-odd years. That's a bit of hyperbole, a bit of exaggeration to try and create a hot take, which, granted, fair play to JBL. This take has given me some extra content, but at the same time, I think we should look at this take as just that, exaggeration. Reigns, he's doing some incredible work the past 3 months. I don't want to jinx that. I don't want WWE to just all of a sudden throw the towel in with the Reigns booking and make him just a run-of-the-mill, just top guy. I want him to still feel special. So if they keep this going for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, then I'll happily say that Reigns has been more impressive than Punk was in 2011, or Randy Orton was at the apex of Randy Orton as a heel, or Batista at Batista's apex in 2006 or 2008, or Cena and some of the stuff Cena's done over the last 15 years. If Reigns can do that for 3 to 12 more months, then I'll say that. But for now, JBL's jumping the gun a bit. I think that's fair to say. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, be sure to like, comment, and sub. You know the drill. Leave down below what you think of JBL's take. Are you a fan of this take? Are you not? Do you really care what JBL has to say? Do you think it's a bit of just an outlandish take for the sake of it? What do you think? Leave it down below. See ya.